Washington and Michigan. We're going to preview the Michigan-Washington game right here. And then I'm going to get going because I'm trying my damnedest to not get distracted by this Lions-Seahawks game, and I'm doing it for you guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Lions are now up 14-0, by the way. Little score update. 91 people watching. Appreciate all you guys. My very first time hosting Big Ten Live. We had a little bit of a mistake. We had a little bit of a glitch and an error. I still appreciate you guys watching. We're on Mark Rogers' channel, but not the Voice of College Football channel. So maybe people were jumping in here expecting like Elvis talk. I know Mark Rogers is a big Elvis guy, speaking of music. But anyway, that was a big tangent. My apologies to Chris for trying to cut this. We'll get on topic. Michigan versus Washington. Fun fact, Washington is only giving up 3.74 yards per carry, and they've only given up 4 rushing touchdowns all year. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier in this live stream, by the way. Michigan has, out of all the teams in this conference, outside of like the Northwesterns and Purdue's of the world of this conference, they have an extremely narrow path to victory. They really do. In my nerd life, I play a lot of card games and things. And we have a term called win condition. It's, if you're not familiar, the conditions in the game which present you with your best opportunity to win. So Michigan, thinking in that way, their win con, if you will, what we'd say for short, is a game in which they're able to run the football, control time of possession, hold the other team's offense off of the field as much as possible, and play great special teams. More so than any other team in college football, I think. Any other, AP poll, better, higher quality in terms of talent and things teams, comparing them to other high-level teams. Absolutely needs all 3 phases of the game playing well. We saw that late in the Minnesota game with the punt return that they gave up where they didn't have the guy covered, obviously. We've seen that with turnovers. You can't turn the ball over either. You have to possess the football, take care of the football, play great defense. The checklist for Michigan to win the game is long, is what I'm saying. There's no, we're in a shootout. Well, we have a great quarterback we can lean on. We're in a defensive struggle. We can really, really just leave it up to this defense alone. Because to be frank with you guys and be frank with whatever Michigan fans may be watching out there, you don't have the depth on defense to do that for 4 full quarters. Washington rushing, only giving up 3.74 yards per carry so far this year kind of scares me. But then I know they haven't faced, outside of Rutgers, they haven't faced a team that runs the ball a lot. And by the way, Kyle Monangai absolutely gashed them. So from what I gleaned from the Rutgers-Washington game that I did get to watch last weekend, by the way, I did watch some football despite it being my niece's birthday. Happy birthday to my niece, Lucy, by the way. She's turning 2. She did turn 2. She turns 2 today, actually. I didn't think about it. Anyway. The big issue for Washington was the tackling. And maybe that presents itself here, but that's an if and maybe will happen thing that I can't really guarantee to you guys. Maybe that gets better. Of course, Steven Belichick, there's the name, is their defensive coordinator, which is really funny to me, really weird to me. That's an odd, random fact, fun fact for Washington. People that aren't familiar with Washington out there. Washington's also 31%. They're at 31% in third down defense, 29th in college football. So when you're talking about Michigan's offense, they have to convert on third downs. They have to run the ball effectively. And the stats say that Washington may actually keep this game close. By the way, this is kind of a Giles Jackson revenge game, quote unquote. There's an interesting player that's kind of taken off in some ways and become not necessarily a star, but has gotten some touches and some good receptions for Washington so far this year. And last year, he was also on the team in Giles Jackson. 7 receptions for 59 yards last week. And again, they did give up 184 rushing yards to Rutgers at 5.3 yards per carry to Monangai. This game is really going to come down to whether Michigan can run the football or not. I hate to put it as simply as that, but that's all this offense can really do or show me at this point. Alex Orji had some effective throws last week. I thought he manipulated the pocket really well under pressure. And by the way, Washington could put Michigan under pressure in terms of the quarterback, in terms of Alex Orji in this game. I don't know what Carson Bruner's availability is. I think he got a little bit banged up in that Rutgers game, but he's a really great linebacker. Look for him to be blitzing a little bit here and there and try to put that Michigan offensive line on their heels. By the way, this game is at 7:30 p.m. on NBC. The line is 2.5 in Washington's favor. Speaking of the passing game for Michigan, I still don't think it's going to get much better in this game either. Speaking of Alex Orji, they just played Minnesota, who was like second or third in the country, or was at the time second or third in the country in team pass efficiency defense, and had intercepted the ball right up there with the Illinois of the world. They had like 7 interceptions going into that game. Now they have 8. Washington is third in team pass efficiency defense. So I wouldn't expect a big game out of Alex Orji unless it's on the ground. Again, I think they'll have to once again do what they did in that USC game in the first half and in the Minnesota game in the first half, which is tilt the field. They got to play field position. They got to play Iowa football. That's how Michigan wins. By the way, Michigan so far this season, speaking of pass efficiency defense, is only 55th in team pass efficiency defense. And this is another thing that scares me as a Michigan fan coming into this one. Will Rogers is one of the best and most experienced quarterbacks that they will see this season outside of Quinn Ewers. Low-key, pretty good quarterback play over there for Washington. So, again, I'm not doing predictions here. You guys can follow me over at Darren Talks Ball for all of that. But just a little preview of Michigan and Washington, which I think the Vegas betting people have quite right. This could be a very close game. And Washington has more ways to win. They just do. I see more paths to victory for Washington. Their offense has some pretty good wide receivers. They have a good quarterback. By the way, they have a good running back we didn't really get into. Decent running back. Can that offensive line stand up to Michigan's defensive line is a question. That'll also be a big question in this game. Now that I think about it, I didn't have that down in my notes, so I apologize for that. Michigan's defensive line can dominate. If their offensive line can dominate, they will win the game. But even then, it'll be close because, again, the offense just hasn't shown me much so far this year. That's going to do it for my Michigan-Washington preview.